This dryer circuit is 30 amps, so shouldn't the wire be 8 gauge? Many people would say yes, but actually code says otherwise. I am actually using 10-3, and the difference can cost you real money. Welcome. Today I'm going to be rough in wiring the laundry room, and it should be a relatively straightforward and hopefully make for a short video unless I run into trouble. This is a 62 by 94 inches wide laundry room. What we have, the washer on this side, the dryer on this side. There's going to be a little drawer at the bottom of the washer dryer. It's going to be about 18 inches. Then there's a little platform on top. So my plan, at least you can see I have labeled the outlets for them. My plan is to put the outlets above the washer and dryer so that if we have to deal with them later, or the homeowner, it's easier for them to access them and pull them out. On this side, what we have is a little sink and then just a small table. Because this room is so tiny, I only have 3 outlets, actually technically 4. One for the washer and then 3 generic 20 amp outlets, the circuit for the washer and dryer. But first, why don't we go take a look at the washer and dryer, because we actually do have them, and check out the heights so that I can figure out where these outlets need to go. So here we have the dryer and here we have the washer. They are Samsung washer dryers. They're the ones that play a little song at the end of their cycle. My wife really likes them, and actually I think they do a pretty good work. But really what we care about here is the height. We have a height of about 39 inches. That's more important because that's where we're going to be defining the outlets that go above it, so that they're not visible from below, but they're easily accessible with a small ladder. Now that we know our height of 39 inches, let's go up there and do our storyboard. The very first thing I've done is to mark my storyboard based on the renders, and now I have it, so let's take a quick look. I have 2 numbers right here. The first is 18 inches and the second one is 19.5. The first number, the 18 inches, is the height of the little drawers underneath the washer and dryer. The 19.5 represents the total height from the top of the subfloor to the top of the OSB. Why do I have that? It's because we're intending to have the first 1.5 inches for radiant heat and the tile. That's why I'm adjusting the top of floor accordingly. The top of the washer and dryer, it is intended to be a kind of like at eye level, the controls and all that stuff. So that should be easy to control. What I have right here is 62 inches for the top shelf. So that's giving me a little bit of wiggle room depending on the width and height of this different shelf. Because if you look at this space, that's about, I don't know, 3 feet. It's going to be a really, really big shelf, which will be the width of the washer and dryer. So we need really good support. So that's why I made it a little bit thicker, I guess, if you will, to give me space for the width of the shelf. What you see right here is I decided to give it an additional 5 inches from the top of the shelf to the bottom of the outlet. So the outlet is intended to sit right here. We will probably put some kind of cabinetry right here because that's the dryer vent, and we want to hide this dryer vent as much as possible. So we'll probably put some cabinetry, and then that's where the soap and all that kind of stuff can sit. Next, I have here a little outlet. Hopefully you can see it with the bright background. This is going to be here at the center. Then here I have the top of the vanity at 37.5, again accounting for the 1.5 inches of the top of floor. My intention is to put one outlet here on this side at 47.5, so this will be the bottom. I always measure them from the bottom. It just makes it easier for me, but I'm thinking maybe I should measure it from the top too. Then this is where the light switches will go. So now it's time to do it. probably said this before, but I love these adjustable depth boxes. The dryer will be using one of these double ones, so that's what you see right here. I don't expect to ever again get these blue boxes because, yeah, the spacer is about half an inch, but we actually use 5/8 of an inch drywall. And one little mistake, just having to fix this, you already wasted the time that you could spend the money on purchasing these adjustable depth ones. I've mentioned also before that I use the planer to plane down a little bit the stud so that the metal on these adjustable depths is flush against the stud, kind of like you see right here, just so that it makes our life easier with drywall. I'm not sure what's going to be in this room. I think it's tile or drywall, we'll see, but anyway, I still do it. Here's the final height of the outlets, the washer, the dryer, and I have now wired the 20 amp circuit here for the laundry room. What I've decided to do for now, at least, is to wire the same circuit for the washer and the rest of the outlets. Now, my concern is for the 20 amp circuit, if we're doing ironing at the same time that we're doing washing, there's a potential that the breaker could be tripped because the iron could draw max power at 10 amps and then the washer could draw anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 amps. I know appliances are more efficient nowadays, but anyway, what do you guys do? Do you guys break apart exclusive circuit for the washer, exclusive circuit for the other ones, or do you put them together? I'm using a 12-2 20 amp NM-B cable for that. Switching subjects real quick, we decided to get this super awesome toy. It's a DCD447 from DEWALT, and we're not sponsored or anything. This makes holes on joist and everything, and it's absolutely amazing. It doesn't kick back when you're making the holes, while if you do it with a drill, you automatically feel it. It's effectively like a humongous impact driver with a half an inch shaft. This pink cable that you see right here is a 10-3 cable, and it is intended to be for the dryer. But one of the things I like to do before installing any kind of cable, especially these bigger ones, is to try to straighten it, because you can see it's a Romex, it's flat. And with all the little twists and turns that come from the little roll, it's just a pain to deal with it if you're just pulling it. So I highly recommend that you straighten the roll as much as possible. At the beginning of the video, I was asking if this laundry circuit should be a gauge 8 or a gauge 10. 10.3. The biggest confusion could come from the definition of code, and it has to do mainly with continuous versus non-continuous load. A continuous load, by definition by the code, is defined as anything that's continuous for over 3 hours, versus non-continuous, anything that's considered less than 3 hours. If it's continuous for over 3 hours, then you need to use the 125% rule. In that case, for a 30 amp circuit, you would actually drop to the, or actually go higher to the number 8 gauge wire, versus a dryer that is not considered continuous, and so that's why we can use a 10-3 wire gauge. You can never go wrong with a thicker gauge. The biggest difference here is as you got thicker gauges with these different kind of wires, they get, one, more expensive, and two, they get more difficult to work with. Why not just go with a 10-3, which is what I'm doing right here, and that's the reason why I'm using a 10-3 and not an 8-3 kind of gauge wire. Now let's think about, let's say you have a family of 5 kids and they're just washing and drying continuously, like all day long, all Saturday long, like for over 3 hours. The dryer eventually stops in less than 3 hours, and then somebody comes and switches the load and whatnot. So that makes it non-continuous. So that's why it's okay for this to be assumed to not be continuous. So anyway, that's the answer, and that's the reason I'm using a 10-3. We are now done with the electrical roughing of this laundry room. It's probably one of the most claustrophobic videos we've done in this like tiny room. All the action is taking place. Now, the biggest takeaway from this video is the fact that the difference between continuous and non-continuous load. That's important from a code perspective. And then one thing that we were lucky enough, or we are lucky enough, that we have all the renders as to how things need to look. So that enabled us to put the outlets at the proper heights. But if you're an electrician and you don't have that information, what do? You just put it at like standard locations, or do you request for information? Anyway, you might have seen me in this video pulling wires, straightening it, flattening it. Yeah, that takes a lot of time, so I thought about it, and it actually does cost money. And somebody on our previous electrical video commented that I should probably get one of these things, a wire dispenser. That person was Ken Brown. Thank you very much for the suggestion. Now I have it. I will be using it in future episodes, and I'll let you know how I like it. And with that, one very important thing is that different jurisdictions have different rules, so it's very important that you consult with your local licensed electrician to do all this kind of work. I hope you comment down below, give us some tips of your own. With that, we're done. We'll see you in the next one, and don't forget, build efficiently.